serious cap on.
Ooh, serious time. So
That means I have to take mine off.
fuck. We can't. It's like a toggle. You can only have one on at a time. All right, great way to start the session. So, the revolution has begun. You have plans to move forward. There are some obstacles to be overturned in the meantime before you are confident enough that you can make a move on the Citadel, which means you each have a week to go about your activities either individually or with one another as necessary. Everyone's feel free to bring other player characters along on your nonsense, because it's always good to have more than just one person in a scene if you can.
Yeah.
So that said, Amity, you've got a week. What's the plan?
I think he is gonna.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't want to cough all over everywhere.
It is transmittable through the internet, so thank you.
Yeah. Also, we're recording this, so fun.
Ooh.
I think Amity's gonna do whatever he can to try and figure out how can we fucking bribe this fucking dragon.
All right, that sounds like a good plan.
His entire week.
All right, do you have a methodology?
Not even a little bit.
All right. In that case, is there anyone who'd like to help Amity with this, trying to gather a tribute for Terran? Speaking of which, Amity, are you the only one who knows his name currently?
I think especially if there's been a little bit of time that's passed, he definitely would have mentioned his name.
All right.
I think you've said his name in conversation.
Okay, good.
That's also possible. I don't quite remember, but
I think you have.
I would say the party knows his name.
Wonderful. All right. So, Staldar, you wanted to assist.
Yeah, I think Stelter would be involved in this in some way. I think.
All right.
Who were the people at the table when we last left off? Who were kind of doing this round table bullshit?
Effectively, everyone. Anyone and everyone that you can conceivably think of as an ally. Over the course of the week, there's been a lot of organization going on, especially within the revolution. I can give you a little bit of a rundown of what other folks are doing during the week.
That might help.
Yeah, so for the most part, the actual activities of the actual overtly revolutionary activities are being mostly covered by Zoya and the Red Guard and the Children of Flame. They're doing a lot of maintaining the barricades on each of the borders of the districts, making sure that they don't get invaded or run over, or that nothing. They're trying to maintain that, and then also maintain order within it, as far as being a subsistent guard for the rest of the population, as necessary. They're really doing their best to keep business as usual going, because they want to make sure people are still getting food and working jobs that they have to and things like that. So they're trying to get in the way as little as possible. The people who are not trying to get in the way as little as possible is Wrath. Wrath and the Blood Club are on a tear in that they are starting up riot. They're really stirring up people in the general residence district. They've basically been on to put an inelegant term to it, guard hunts. In that they're not just murdering people in the street, but they're rounding up last remaining bastions of the noble guard within the revolutionary occupied territory, disarming them. A lot of them are being kept in Aldridge, actually. Not really in any kind of organized cell way, but just kind of in the yard and the general area.
So we just fucking have control of Aldridge now.
Pretty much the entire over the course of the week, the combination of the Blood Club, the Children of Flame, and the Red Guard have pretty much clamped down on the districts you all have control of.
Shit.
Yeah. Isa and Ilmia are working pretty closely with Wrath and the Blood Club, in that Isa is doing a lot of kicking ass and taking names. And specifically doing so in a public fashion to spread awareness of, like, what the council has been doing for the last couple of years, and that, like, this isn't shit to take lightly. So she's been more or less a combination ass-kicking and PR campaign to get more awareness of what cause they're actually fighting for, to make sure that they don't just look like a coup, regardless of whether it actually is or is not a coup. Tosa has been doing a lot of logistics, as is his wont. He's been doing supplies primarily, making sure that both the Red Guard and the Children of Flame get any kind of, like, provisions and armaments and armor they need, especially with a growing influx of volunteers from the general populace, and that any like civilian areas adversely affected by the conflict occurring also get any kind of or not so much equipment, so much as, like, food and medical care and equipment that they need to take care of themselves. Prith is playing politics. He's been doing a lot of schmoozing with the upper echelon merchants that got stuck on this side of the barricade. So he's been doing a lot of trying to get swaying resources toward the side of the revolutionaries as much as he can. Yeah. That's about as far as... Yeah. That should give you a pretty good assessment of the situation as the week progresses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Amity, I would like, if possible, I would like you to kind of, like, drive the scene on this one. Like, how do you want this to look and happen?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Amity knows this dragon the way that he thought he did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think now that he's gotten a better understanding of him, he I think that just kind of, like, solidifies that, like, oh wow, okay, I really, like, I thought I knew this dragon, and then I realized I didn't know this dragon, and now I really don't know this dragon. So I really don't think he has any idea of, like, where to begin, he's probably going to, like, anyone and everyone who is in any sort of, like, leadership position. So he's probably talking to Tosa. He's definitely, like, I know Staldar was already, like, in on it, but, like, he's definitely having conversations with Staldar. Yeah, pretty much anybody that he can talk who might be able to help.
Absolutely. So, with that said, Staldar, what's your recommendation?
So, from my understanding from kind of the last talks, and this is partially me, we're essentially going to bribe the dragon over to our side. Is the goal at this point? Is that kind of the general gist of what we're trying to accomplish?
Basically.
Okay.
Maybe not so much to your side, so much as not to their side.
Not to the... Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I think more to neutrality than...
Yeah. You're more asking him to turn the other cheek than to help you.
That makes sense.
Turn the other cheek. Turn the other way. Look the other way. There we go. That's the phraseology I'm looking for.
The question then is, so it sounds like Tosa's basically doing acquisitions, which is kind of what Staldar is also interested in. It sounds like Prith is doing negotiations with the merchants. The merchants are kind of the key to getting any sort of like gold flowing our way, and to this dragon's way. What we don't understand yet is exactly how they are. Like, what is it that they've given this dragon that we somehow have to one up? Because I can't even imagine what that might be. And I don't know how he would gather that intel without either just straight up asking Terran what they've given him, or I don't know who to ask other than Amity.
Right.
So maybe that might be part of your task, is figuring that out.
Sure.
Yeah, you've talked to him once and didn't die. I'm wondering if you can do it again.
I don't remember how well we left off last time, but it didn't seem great. So I can try, but I'm afraid that going to him, and to be honest, we are, but I'm afraid that it's gonna look and feel and be nothing but desperation. Of like, oh my god, you're our only hope of not getting murdered by you.
Well, maybe, okay, instead of doing that, maybe the question is, by the end of the week, what are our acquisitions looking like? Because some of these things are kind of like domino effect. One thing affects the other, right? So,
Sure.
like, do we even know where we're at with what we even have to offer?
Yeah. So I think from an outside perspective, because you're also getting you said you were asking around for advice, basically, of just like, what do we want? What does a dragon want? And like, I think the combination of Prith and Tosa both say that they can get you like a lot of gold, not like a hoard amount of gold, but like a lot.
Nothing to sneeze at.
Right. Yeah, nothing to sneeze at, but not like, not a dragon's worth of gold. Wrath is actually recommending a show of force, to show that you mean it, basically. Like, she's very much in favor of like, he's probably not gonna, she's like, he's probably not gonna leave, but like, we can show what we've done to the districts we already have, and that's proof enough that if he doesn't get out of the way, they will lose. Like,
Fair enough.
and she's kind of firmly in the like, if you want to prove that we're going to do this whether or not he gets out of the way, we can try and show him that. Yeah, you can get a pretty decent quantity of like money. Some folks from the agricultural district have like offered like some prize cows,
Livestock.
some prize livestock.
Interesting. Okay. I have another thought then. Someone who could help with being that show of force. On my list anyway is getting Hecris involved with this pretty directly now at this point. I think at this point we would have, or Steldar would have sent him some kind of missive being like, get your ass down here. Start wrecking shit.
Yeah.
It's your time, buddy.
Yeah, and he'll come down. Like, I'm gonna say it's not quick, because I don't think he's that concerned.
He's just an asshole, so he's just gonna like, yeah,
mosey his way back. No.
You just ruined his month-long frat party.
Listen, this is his new frat party. He's about to like, this is his dream.
Honestly, true.
Direct some shit. Yeah. So he's probably down about halfway through the week.
Fair enough. All right.
And just like
He and Rat
ready.
need to be
Yeah.
working together.
I think they are almost immediately. Like, maybe even like before you get to talk to him. Like he's like
They're already
Well, he's like flying over the general residence district and like sees some commotion going on, and he's just like, well, I got to get in on that, and like flies down and like helps kick a guardian's ass, and then like immediately starts like making friends with Wrath
Hell yeah.
in the process. Yeah, he'll definitely help if you're looking for some sort of influential bid, effectively.
He's basically partial dragon at this point.
He's yes.
Like,
I don't know how much I want to tell you, but yes, he is significantly more draconic than you.
he's like
so to
more
speak.
than 50% at this point. Like,
Yeah.
he's a small dragon at this point.
Yeah, that's probably a good way. That's a good way of putting it. We've got our own dragon.
Trying to think of what else we can do. I don't think we have any strong evidence of what we did, like, with the freeing of Borok, and other than the fact that Borok actually has emissaries now, followers.
I don't know if he's gonna care about that either.
Yeah, it's hard because dragons themselves are already such basically higher beings. It's like, well, we have, you know, a war god on our side. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm a fucking dragon.
What's a god to a king? What's a king to a dragon?
That's maybe that's not a bad point though, because if we say like, here's all this shit that we have on top of the fact that we have freed and are utilizing Borok's
Backed by.
agents. Yeah. And then also have multiple wink wink multiple agents of the Night Queen or the Raven Queen. Like not only in the city but in our party. Like we're clearly on the winning side, and you are the only thing that is, well, I don't know if we should say this, but like in my head, like he's really the only thing that's like tipping the scales in their favor.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. We've literally been hired by a fucking god to assassinate. I think that this Pagliacci puppet master demon man it has to be like directly behind this dragon's presence. Like, what else could it be, right? So
Yeah.
like
That's what
we've
I
been
was
hired to kill your master by a god.
What's up?
Here's your chance to you know, terminate your contract or whatever, and just let us do that, and we'll give you all this shit and maybe not have to fight and kill you, possibly.
I think in this conversation, Prith also suggested an appeal to pride along those lines of just like,
Of course, fucking Prith would.
Prith is just like, look, this dragon, he's the only thing standing in the way, right? Like you just said. So he's so much more powerful than the entirety of the forces he's attempting to protect. They're just so beneath him that he has no reason to protect them anymore.
Then why doesn't he have a reason? Why does he have a reason to protect us if we're not,
Well, we don't want
and
him
not
to
destroy
protect
us?
We just want him to go away. Mind his own business.
Well, I mean, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, we don't want him, like, I kind of misspoke earlier when I was saying sway him to our side. We kind of went through all that. Like, we don't want him on our side, we just want him to fuck off. Mind his own
Well,
beeswax for a little while.
Terran being on our side would be a great, you know, allyship.
That would be nice, but
that's going for that's a bit like shooting for the moon with a gun.
It's also a whole can of worms that we probably shouldn't open.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could make another deal with a higher being.
no, we get into
We
contracts.
had
and
enough of
shit.
those this entire campaign.
We
No,
we
it's-
want a
it's-
one and done deal where we give him something and release him from his contract and he just fucks off,
Agree.
does his own dragon shit somewhere else.
This time, Amity tells Taryn what to do. That's that's how it's
Oh.
gonna go.
The the dragon did business with them, right?
That's what
That-
we're presuming.
Then we have to convince them that again. I guess they don't have something to lose. Again,
They really don't.
I mean,
I mean-
because we could take out literally every single avenue of business that this dragon has been given, aside from whatever they currently hold, which will only last for as long as until we
Right.
take
We
it.
basically have the city hostage at this point. Like there is
little
no gold flowing in and out of their treasury at this point, I'm sure. So
As far as we
like,
know, yeah.
as far as we know,
But it's also these people have
we can completely
theoretically the
stifle it.
most to lose. Honestly, at this point,
The
just-
nobles. The nobles, absolutely. Terran.
they have the most to lose. Throwing even more than necessary at Terran to begin with. So that's why it was already going to be a struggle before, but we're thinking, I feel like we even have to think higher, which sucks.
In which way? They hire.
Basically, everything we said, we have to do all of that to, I think, even standard terms.
Oh well, yeah, absolutely. This is all this is stacking stuff. I'm not saying we have to do one or the other. This is we have to do this on top of this on top of this to like make this appealing to this dragon.
How about this then? Zoya suggests, from a strategy perspective, that because the ultimate goal here is to invade the noble district, and actually physically take it over. And I think that she suggests you do that immediately after making your plea bargain with Terran, because that is when the Noble Guard will be the most confident in their success and then immediately lose that.
It's true.
Okay.
They will be completely unprepared. So
we present this to Terran, and then as soon as that's done, we just move in.
right.
We just like okay.
As soon as it's clear,
It's gonna break their morale.
yeah, because as soon as it's clear that Terran is no longer a threat to the revolution and no longer a boon to the existing powers, then they will be completely unprepared. So, with that in mind,
Oh shit, our fucking dragon.
yeah, exactly.
Not our dragon.
How about? I think that your week of downtime, Amity, would then conclude with this encounter with Terran. So we're gonna put a pin in that, and we will get back to that after we've figured out what happens with everyone for the rest of the week. Also, feel free to continue participating in like people's scenes throughout the week. Don't feel like this is the end for you.
Oh,
But-
yeah, no. I'm just gonna mute myself, finish eating, and also panic a lot.
You might want to
That's my
spend some
plan.
time just thinking about what you're gonna even say.
Yeah, that also.
All right, awesome. Okay, Norgal, what's your plan for the week?
All right. Well, Norgal is old and doesn't do a whole lot, but he wants to kind of figure out like as we okay, yeah. Kind of wants to figure out like obviously the revolution is kind of happening, you know, around them in the merchant district.
Mhm.
If there are people who are trying to escape or don't want to get caught up in this revolution,
Mhm.
he wants to help aid them elsewhere.
Maybe
Yeah.
like an evacuation effort.
Do some humanitarian aid.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there is a good amount of panic. I think there's a lot of people moving away from the borders specifically. So in the merchant district, there are a lot of people kind of like edging away, like people who are housed like right near the bridge between the merchant and academic district that are just like, if conflict breaks out, they don't want to be there, and are leaving to find alternative like housing situations and also like food and things that they can, and you can absolutely help them with that.
Yeah.
I wanna
Norval would
also-
probably like that.
Also okay, awesome. Yeah.
Kind of went into something of like half of what I want to do in mine as well.
Yeah. Then actually, what
Perfect.
do you want to be doing this week? Because then maybe we can have you two work together.
Okay. There's two things.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with the one that he started. So basically, I want to not take control of literally all the temples, but I want to like as many clerics and priests that I can to our side,
Yeah.
and those who want to flee. I want to basically turn the temples into sort of like a safe haven for people who just want to stay neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Or are just fleeing the fighting. So it's like a safe place for healing and storage and whatnot.
Sanctuary.
Absolutely.
It's literally
Yeah.
many as I can. I don't know how many that will be, but I'm hoping at least like 2.
Yeah.
More than that would be fire.
All right. So we're gonna have some fun. Do you remember the political sub game?
Are we bringing it back?
We're bringing it.
Bringing it back.
I can relink to it because
That'd be cool.
it's a little buried at this point. But since the two of you, it sounds like the two of you are effectively doing your best to open up the like whatever resources you yourselves have, be it money or space, be it meaning the temples or community and people within the other clerics and whatnot. I would like you to roll resources to see how well you accomplish this.
Okay.
And because you are being helped, 2d6. But because you are being helped, either of you can roll this. Do 3d6 and take the 2 highest. So it's rolling with advantage, but with 3.
Here, Thorn. I'll roll 1, you roll 1.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool. And then you can roll a second one. I got a 4.
2, 1. I rolled a 3.
I got a 4.
That's gonna be 9 on the die.
All right. So it's a partial success. So, you do what you wanted to. You successfully establish you successfully establish the, I'm gonna say the Temple of Lesser Deities, and also the you managed to get in, but in a more secretive way, the Temple of Tiamat and the Temple of Sophicut and Dophiket.
Yeah.
Not quite as overtly as the Temple of Lesser Deities, but they're definitely running some like back alley sanctuary, hiding people, like stuff in the background. But this comes at a cost.
Okay.
I'm going to let you both tell me what that is. You're going to have to make a choice here. You're going to have to either not have enough for everyone. You're going to have to turn some people away just because there's limited space, there's limited opportunity. Not all of the clerics are open to doing this sort of work. Or you're going to have to draw undue attention from the other temples and from the guard.
Oof.
Triage?
I'm gonna be entirely real. I already know what I want to choose.
Norgal's conflicted, so he would need some persuasion in either way.
See, in my mind, how I wanted it to be, I would rather choice number 2
Okay. I thought
Fact?
you would, yeah.
is a neutral setup. I'm not trying to put this in the way that this is like for our revolution.
Switzerland.
I need to make this
Your
seem
innocence.
as neutral as possible. That like temples and
You
whatnot
can't be
that
mad
are
at these people. They're not revolutionaries. Leave us alone.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is my
yeah. Norgo gets that. Norgo was kind of leaning more towards that. He doesn't like the idea of turning people away, you know.
silly.
So yeah,
Honestly,
I'd rather.
at the end of the day, I'd rather Dahlia get blamed for all of this than turn people away and like having that blood on her hands.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that.
Much rather that.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. In that case,
In that
that's what happens. You take in everyone you can, and you manage to take in everyone. Everyone who needs a place to stay. Everyone who needs a little healing. Everyone who needs a prayer. You manage to take them all in, and I think you both actually become kind of like not quite like folk hero status, but there are definitely like little legends of the like the tall priest and a short priest. Um, uh,
Oh,
but just like this pair of figures ushering
Good
people
sainthood.
to safety.
Oh, that's actually so cute.
But within that, it becomes a little bit more dangerous in that you catch the ire of the guard. You have to be a lot more secretive when you're moving people. You're not sure, but you're pretty sure that the Temple of Bahamut like might be trying to rat you out.
Assholes.
Okay. Try me, bitch.
Right. Um,
This
but-
will all be over in a week, bitch.
See you in court, Ash.
yes, awesome. Great.
For this though, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. So that's what you do for the week.
Also, is there any alchemical shops within the merchant district that are still up and running
There are.
right now? Okay. What are those places?
There's the usual. There is heck, what's it called?
Where's the map? There it is.
Where's the map?
There you've got there's Hag's Brew,
Yeah.
and what was the other one? There is some of that at Wickerwood Wizardry, but it's mostly the Hag's Brew.
Okay.
There's some alchemical stuff going on at Dank Moss, which we established at some point.
A very specific kind of alchemy.
Yes. But additionally, if you're looking for just alchemical work, Clarice is actually working on perfecting effectively an instant potion of healing, like just a super fast acting potion of healing that her father had recipes for, but she hadn't quite finished.
Yeah, that was one of the things I had kind of put on my list is getting her and Cracks working together.
Yeah, also I'd like I'd like Juniper to get in contact with
Hey, Eli, your typing is very loud. Just be a little careful about that. You know, yeah, okay. You don't have to stop typing. Just try not to do it directly into the mic. Yeah. So I assume that's for Juniper, to see what Juniper's doing for the week.
Yeah, I'd like her to get in contact with Clarice and possibly help her.
Awesome. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they kind of like click really well together. Just because they're both very like young, hardworking, professional individuals. I think Clarice is a little loath to open up at first, like to her other work, but with the addition of what I assume to be Juniper's pretty enthusiastic approach, if her current character is anything to go by, they managed to get to work together fairly well.
I still like the idea of Juniper and Cracks being friends.
Yes, also true. Probably also true. Yeah,
Great.
awesome. Dahlia, you said there was something else you wanted to do this week?
Yes, there is. So, okay. Massive fever dream and remember this wrong. We found out that Pagliacci is actually a was that
Cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, you cut out completely. I have no idea what you said.
you know, why not? It's like his true identity was a demon, correct?
Correct.
Everything about this demon.
Oh, so you want to do some lore hunting?
Ooh.
Shit
Ooh.
ton.
All right. Yes, absolutely.
Everything about a Valor demon.
Roll that fat ass religion check.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think...
Catherine, I want to go through every library Kyla has to offer.
Yeah, I think... All right, here's how we're going to do this. Give me 3 checks with skills appropriate to what you want to know, and that they have to be different. So you can give me an investigation check.
Definitely that. Okay.
You can give me investigation. You can give me arcana. You can give me religion. And I think you can give me nature. And depending...
was not what I was thinking. Okay.
And if there's another applicable check you think would be good, you can give me all of those, basically. Tell me what you got, and I will give you what you find in your study then. I want this to be more than just like one do or die check.
What about
Would
like,
history be applicable?
Yes.
First one I'm gonna go ahead and do. I'm gonna do Arcana.
All right.
I have a +2 in total.
All right.
Pretty average. Like middle.
Next roll.
Sorry, what did you get?
10 Arcana.
10 on arcana. Okay.
I'll write these in the chat when I roll them too. I'll
Okay.
say them, but I'll write them as well.
Yeah. Here, do you want the information piecemeal, or do you want me to give it to you all at once after you
Give
do all
it
the
to
rolls?
me at the end.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I already can tell. Just at the end.
Yes. Definitely.
Second roll is going to be history. 17.
All right.
Ooh.
And the last one, religion.
Ooh.
Nice.
Ooh. All right.
Nice.
Very, very good rolls.
All right.
Yes. I rolled an 8 for Arcana. I freaked out.
All right. So
Oh, no.
yeah, I'll give you your facts in order then.
Okay.
Things you find out. And firstly, I will tell you that this is hard.
You know, I kind of figured.
The amount of just written material or otherwise obtainable information on like demonology is pretty limited, significantly more limited than it is on like devils, because they tend to keep much better records. So with the 10 in Arcana, you manage to find that they have there are legends of Balor demons having some potent magical abilities, but it's really confused. Like, they tell you a bunch of different things about it. Like, there's one that you're pretty sure was actually talking about a succubus when they're trying to they talk about like a very like powerful charm thing. They talk about some very nimble magic, some like moving around very quickly, being able to dodge stuff and like move faster than should be perceptibly possible. There is some that just posit that they're super powerful wizards. It's really hard to nail down specifics, but you do get that they have some powerful magical abilities. As far as history goes, again, it's in stories, but this time they're a lot more defined. There is some... You find a correlation. especially in the combination of what you find has happened previously with figures named as Balor demons and what has happened now, in that they have this tendency to understand their situation as sowers of chaos in a self-aware light. They understand that their goal is to wreak chaos, but they're smart enough to understand that raw destruction isn't the only way to do it. And they often sneak into positions of power, influence people, maybe even manipulate lawful creatures to do what they want in the ultimate goal of chaos. They seem a bit smarter than your typical demon.
Could they potentially think this as a game of sorts?
Absolutely. There's a definitive playfulness in a lot of their actions. There's a lot of like,
Hence the clown.
right. There is a dash of showmanship to a lot of it, and sometimes that is of tradition, and other times it is of kind of in and of itself. They do it because they like it. It's fun. And Nat 20 or religion. What's your religion bonus, by the way, on top of that?
+6.
All right. Rubs hands
26.
together.
You sure did succeed.
Yes. All right. So
Dahlia
there's a
showed
deeper connection that links a lot of Balors together that you manage to kind of decipher from a lot of the texts, in that there are particular demon lords or demon princes that the demons are typically beholden to. And the Balors themselves come from one particular of the demon princes, the Demogorgon. This doesn't mean a lot for the time being, in that the Demogorgon is always much more enthralled by what's happening in the Nine Hells, what's happening along the River Styx, sowing chaos in that. But it lends an amount of flavor to their servants, in that they're really good at sowing seeds of pride, self-centeredness, paranoia. They're very much a group that is good at spreading the idea that this is mine and no one can take it from me, and I will make sure no one gets it, and I would rather I die and they die than I give up what I have.
Shit.
It is right.
Yeah, and I think that's how your research goes.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
That's good. Hold up.
At some point during the week, I'm gonna kind of relay this information onto like the major members of our party.
Absolutely.
Where
Yeah.
of like the general bits of it.
I'm sure.
Just
your
so we
party-
have an idea of what we're gonna be going up against.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Always any excuse for me to spout lore is always great.
I got you, homie.
Y'all know I've read more than Kanan's Tome of Foes at least twice by now.
Hello, DM. You good? I get it.
All right. In that case, Staldar, what are you up to?
Oh boy, a lot. I'm trying to decide if I just want to kind of get the boring stuff out of the way and then move on to like kind of do like a roundabout, getting back to more personal stuff, because there's definitely a lot of loose ends that I would like to tie up. Let's get the boring stuff out of the way. What have I already done? Hecris is involved. I don't want to worry about that anymore. I want to make sure that I want to, for one thing, give the healing trinket back to Clarice and get Clarice, Hecris, there may be Juniper a little bit, now that I think about it, kind of working together on making that better, because right now it's just so dangerous.
I'm assuming you meant Cracks rather than Hecris.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
This is on the brain, because they have the same...
Consonants.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that just makes sense. Like, it just becomes... I think that's what the basement of the Spider's Den becomes, for better or for worse. Is it's just like
Just a big laboratory.
Clarice and Cracks and Juniper like hunched over a table with like smoke puffing up behind them every once in a while. Like they're front lit, so you only see their silhouettes, and then just like a puff of colorful smoke come up behind them every once in a while.
All different colors. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. You hear just like ominous bubbling, and there's a vat of something in the corner.
Juniper is a witch.
Very much so. It's green and viscous, and it might be making noises that are like a language. You're not sure.
Oh, boy. Okay. Ugh.
It's fine, probably. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, I think they're absolutely all working together.
Great. The next kind of thing, this almost kind of goes back to what Dahlia and Norgal are trying to achieve, but in a different direction, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a disconcerted effort to reclaim some of the restricted zone and use that to our advantage, because that's just a lot of empty space that's not being used. And I specifically would like to what am I thinking? Brain. I want to, one, maybe kind of reclaim some of the housing, just so, like, since it's kind of out of the way, I imagine, some of these places, kind of like you said, people are trying to get away from these hotspots.
Yeah.
I think we got rid of all the undead. Like, I don't think there's an undead problem there anymore. Well, I don't know.
As
That's
far as
actually
I
a good question. Can I do some scouting to add?
Yeah, I was about to say. I think you should do some scouting.
Okay.
Because the last you saw is what happened last you saw, you'd taken care of a lot of it. You'd done a good day's work plus a god's smiting worth of zombie removal. And Shatterkai stayed behind to effectively clean up. Last you know.
Okay.
Shatterkai stayed behind to continue cleaning it up to make sure that like it was like because from what you know of when you talked to him, he was stationed there effectively to take care of the zombie problem. And he said he was going to stay behind to take care of any stragglers after you all took care of the source, quote unquote.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, if you would like to do some, literally, if you would like to do some scouting, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I'll call for, like, if anyone wants to do like a scouting party, that would be probably ideal. Probably with Dahlia, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I got you. The old thing, man.
Dahlia,
You and me.
Dahlia and I are pretty much the best to handle the undead, I think. So
Makes sense. I think
Holy powers.
your Sashi's going to go with you too.
yeah, that also makes sense.
Stick around.
Bro, Dahlia gonna have a busy week.
Yeah, and I will definitely also make a considered effort to look out for Shatterkai.
Sounds like a plan.
Cheeps is a bit worried about you, so he's like trying to keep an eye on everything. Is it okay? What I mean is it okay if Cheeps comes around as well?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah.
The OG squad plus boyfriend.
Nice.
Fourth wheel.
Pink ropes.
Yeah. So you go back, you take a look around, you get some good looks around. I don't, considering this happens over the course of a week. Like, you're obviously not spending it. This might be like an afternoon. This isn't like a week, but you're taking a look, and you get the feeling that like you do not see a single undead while you're there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it looks, as far as you can tell, completely cleared out.
Scholar Scholar puts out his hand as like a down low, like high five to Dahlia, just like fuck yeah.
She 100% gives you a low 5.
Your Sashi just like looks back between the two of you and is just like, all right.
She's gonna make a really dumb. We make a good team, you and me. We know how to do it.
Man.
Remember that time you almost killed me? Anyway, so you said you were keeping an eye out for Shatterkai.
Yes.
Do you go back to see where he was stationed?
Yeah, might as well. Might as well.
Yeah, I think so if you don't see, you see neither hide nor tail. Is that how that works? Hide nor hair of Shatterkai while you're there. And when you go back to check out his station, it has been packed up. In that he is no longer stationed in the area, which leads to the inference that his job is done, as he suggested, which would be further confirmation that you've gotten all of them.
Okay. Well, good. That's a good thing. I'm gonna ask Dahlia for a favor, though. You can send a message to Shatterkai, right?
Yeah, I still have sending on me actually.
Let's take a gamble. See what he's doing. Just something like I don't fucking know. Presume that your purpose in the restricted zone is done. Would maybe like to meet or talk at some point. Possible. End of message.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it takes a little bit.
End of message.
I'm gonna say give it like a 10-minute gap, and then you hear back, and he
He
says,
was even on this fucking plane.
"Yeah, you don't have to roll the 10%.
Nice.
Or is it 5? I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
It's 5, but yeah, still.
You get a response back in about 10 minutes, and it's just like, not in Kyla, on another assignment. Best of luck with the puppet master."
Gee, what? Okay, cool.
I just kind of look to Staldar and just shake my head no.
Shit. Well, whatever. It's fine. We don't need him. I'm not
Sour
saying
grapes.
that. Listen, I know I'm kind of deadpan. I didn't mean that in a
I
necessarily.
will remember this.
I didn't mean that in an insulting way. Because we literally just don't need him. You know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean.
It just would have been nice, okay?
He's not getting a wedding invite, is he?
Man. At this rate, I don't think anyone is.
Fuck all of you.
Alright, my next kind of goal with this, knowing that the zone is relatively safe. I mean, is the city safe? This zone is, undead free, so we'll call it safe. I want to get an effort to maybe kind of check some of the key buildings in this area. It's a pretty big area. I imagine that there's some buildings that are big enough and still sturdy and like not rotting.
Yeah.
Enough.
The location is architecturally sound.
Right. I want to make sure that there are places for people to stay should their own places get fucked up. I would also like to have something of a. We've got the temples doing some medicinal work. I kind of want very specifically some kind of hospital almost. Something of a base where like anyone who's hurt in the scuffles, like this is a place for revolutionaries almost. Of course anyone would be welcome, but
Mhm.
since the temples are housing kind of the the neutrals, the Switzerland of the people, I want something that is specifically for
Right.
this effort.
If someone takes a spear to the chest, you want to have somewhere to bring them.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
don't
No,
die.
absolutely. All right. In that case, I would like you. So, how? Describe to me how you're going about this. With on a broader scale. Like, are you attempting to bring people? So, are you trying to establish this among your group of compatriots? Are you trying to levy the like wealth and things you have acquired to establish this, or are you trying to establish this among the people that this is a location for this group of people?
I think this is a volunteer effort. So this is kind of a first steps is actually scouting and making sure the place is actually this is doable at all.
Mhm.
Second is putting word out that plans are being made, and then having the call to action of who wants to be involved in this, who's willing to give their time and expertise and effort towards this. Um, uh, kind of going back to the acquisitions, what can we even acquire to help this? How can we like kind of supply this effort, this hospital of sorts?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
All right. In that case,
yeah.
I would like you to separately roll resources and rapport.
Let me.
First, to see whether you have the ability to establish this kind of infrastructure in the first place, and second, to see if you can garner enough support for it to be staffed effectively. Trying to garner help from the people.
Okay. So this is 2d6. This is resources and rapport.
Yes, one and then the other.
Let's do resources first. Okay. Oh, that's a 10.
It's a 10. Okay, yeah.
Plus 2? 10 plus 2?
Oh, yeah, so 12. So a complete success. So you definitely have the stuff. Like you have the ability to stock this. You have medical supplies. You have the space. You have maybe I think what happens here is you actually manage to like occupy either a lesser temple or otherwise appropriate facility in the area. So like the infrastructure is there. You find the stuff and you have the resources to be able to restock it effectively.
Awesome.
And I'll give you +1 forward to your rapport roll then. Because it's easier to influence people to help you if you have stuff to entice them to help.
Goods. Alright. Yeah. Fuck. That's a 7.
7. Okay, so partial success.
Yeah, it's not a failure.
No, it's not.
It's
So,
not a failure. That's, you know.
so you can garner support. You've got enough. You've got some curious eyes, some people interested, but you're gonna have to do something very immediately to prove that you mean for. They're afraid of supporting another regime. They're trying to make sure you're not trying to influence them for your own gain. They want to make sure you're actually trying to help.
All right. I have an idea then. For one thing, something that's also just actually a problem with this is the fucking wall.
Mm-hmm.
I think Staldar is going to take his own words very literally in this case, and he's going to make an effort to like just tear the wall down.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a like whoever wants to join in can join in, but this is also like he's got things he can do to maybe actually let me think about how this would actually go. I could probably do some stuff. Staldar's not afraid of a little bit of like elbow grease. Like if it takes him just literally going brick by brick and just prying the bricks apart, that's whatever. Like that's kind of the length he's willing to go to.
Yeah. I think you start maybe not alone. You've got one or two. There's like a couple good beefy Children of Flame boys helping you out. Beefy boys. But as soon as the people, especially the people who live right on the border of the restricted zone, see you doing this, they kind of like start watching and kind of like murmur to each other for a minute, and then you get this one lone like blacksmith bodied man who's like silently walks up with like a tool and just starts like wrenching pieces of the wall out, like very determined. And then as soon as he starts joining, you get like a carpenter, and then other people, and more people start coming until it's just like this crowd of people tearing away at this wall.
Yeah, fucking Berlin Wall style.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Until there's just like enough of it down that the barrier doesn't ceases to exist functionally. There's still rubble, there's still bits, there's still big iron stakes, but the border is broken at least. And I think over the course of the week they kind of keep chipping away at it and establishing.
Stalder just has so much to do that it probably becomes a hands-off effort at that point where, like, all right, he got the ball rolling. Let's move on to other stuff too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
In that case, if you have more stuff to do, I think we can get back to you.
I have some stuff involving Cheeps, so if we
conveniently.
Yeah.
Cheeps is up next on the week train.
Yay! I guess. So should I just start?
Yeah. What are you doing this week?
Well, to get the boring stuff out first, as Staldar did. Thanks. You mentioned that Wickerwood Wizardry is still open, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I imagine at one point, if ever Norgal or Juniper or any of their friends are going around there, they at one point spy Cheeps nervously standing outside the shop before entering. And of course, I need to. You remember that this is the one he stole. He tried.
Oh, I remember.
Right? Yeah. So Cheeps like nervously walks in with his hands in front of him, so just to show that he's carrying nothing, and rather nervously, and waits for the person behind the desk to acknowledge him. For starters.
Yeah, I think he just finishes with like Cracks ordering some more ingredients, and then they head out, and then he's just like, "All right, next." Oh. Hello.
Cheeps says, I've had a lot of time to think, and I have learned many things since I last entered here.
He's growing up.
My dad told me that I shouldn't be doing this as much as I do, and that what I did was wrong. Okay. I'm sorry. This is really hard.
He looks supremely entertained.
Point is, I'm really, really sorry that I tried to steal from you. I know I know I don't necessarily deserve forgiveness. I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody to forgive me for anything bad I've done. That's unfair to them, I've learned. But would you still be willing to sell me things I need if I apologize and promise to make it up to you one way or another?
My baby.
That's my son.
So take a point of inspiration.
Yay!
Um,
Hooray! I shall need this.
mm.
God.
And along with that, I would like you to make a persuasion check. I think he looks down at you and he's just like, well,
And that will be a 14.
Not bad. You okay?
Well,
Shouldn't with the puppy dog eyes. Go.
I suppose if you're willing to pay up front and do as you need to, and I'm not going to sell anything you're not allowed to buy, but sure,
Parental
we'll let it slide.
Alright, Cheap's like
permission slip.
ferociously just kind of like bows his head over and over again and says, thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure. So I assume that means you wanted something, maybe?
Yeah. Do you sell, magnifying lenses? He's like, he doesn't exactly know what that means, but...
Yeah, we've got a few. What are you looking for?
I don't know, something worth 200 gold things? Specifically?
My dad gave me a list.
I think I've got something. Yeah, no, we've got that in stock still. He kind of like
Yes.
walks back. He like opens the chest, moves some like velvet lining around, and pulls out a very very particularly crafted glass lens in a like metal ring frame with a little chain attached to it. And he kind of sets it gently down on the counter on top of like another piece of like soft cloth to make sure it doesn't scratch. And he's just like, is that anything else?
This may be weird, but do you have charcoal?
Yeah. Do like the bricks or the like
The crushy stuff. The
crush.
grimy stuff.
Oh
Say.
yeah. No, perfectly normal. Pretty typical spell component. We've got some of that too. How much of that do you need?
A pound.
Yeah. All right. And he goes and finds a significantly coarser, like I think it's like a big paper bag, a big thick paper bag. And he
Like
like
a flour sack.
yeah, basically, and he like
Flour bag.
scoops some stuff into it, kind of like weighs it out, and like scoops a little bit more in, and then a little bit out, and then like curls up the top and sets that on the counter. He's just like, yeah, that should be about it. That should run you in at about 210 gold pieces.
Cheaps will take out a bag and just plump it on the floor. Like a big old heavy bag of coins.
The teller looks surprised, given that last time you were in here, you attempted to steal from him.
Boy's loaded. He's stingy.
But he like picks in the bag and is just like, what? Yeah, all right, and counts out the 210, and then gives the rest of the bag back to you and pushes your purchases across the table. He wraps the lens in cloth in kind of like a square, pocket square fashion, like a little square container.
Cheaps curtly says, well, not curtly. He says, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much," and
Of course.
turns around.
Stay safe out there.
You too. He calmly walks out, opens the store door, closes it behind him, and then just falls on the ground and starts wheezing. Like,
Being good is hard.
His hands just like twitching towards the most valuable things around him the entire time.
How do people do this? That was so much gold.
I've never walked into a store and come out with less gold.
Oh my god.
Then he just looks around, sees surroundings, and totters off to the nearest alleyway to do something.
Uh,
Not fishy
Just
at
after.
all.
I would like you to describe what you do.
Cheeps makes his way to an enclosed alleyway, one that he has specifically remembered. He likes to mark certain spots he liked previously when he was still, living on the streets, to mark spots that he calls safe places that people don't go. He goes to one of these and then gets out all the stuff he just purchased. First, he takes the big old bag of charcoal dust, opens it, and then just dumps it on the ground all at once. Like, dust everywhere. He starts coughing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dust cloud.
And then he very carefully takes out his $200 piece of glass, wondering why it costs that much. And then makes a little, how you like to make a little hole in mashed potatoes to pour gravy in, kind of like that. Makes a little nest and places the lens in the middle. And then he nervously takes out a knife and cuts one of his feathers off and puts it on top of the lens, and then lights a match and tosses it on the charcoal.
Whoosh.
Doing some fucking warlocky shit.
So
Yeah, really.
the charcoal dust doesn't so much ignite all at once so much as it smolders. Even though it is in dust form, it lights a lot faster than it would if you used like chiquettes. Chiquettes is I think that's the right word. The little bricks. And it turns, so as you can watch it, the fire kind of like spread all around the mound as it goes from this like deep dark black to ashy white to this like glimmering red as it starts burning around, and then it gets closer and closer to the magnifying lens. And then all at once the fire reaches all around the edges of the magnifying lens, and it lights up with this auburn light, and it kind of shines outward for a moment, and then it's almost as if the lens disappears, and the feather falls down through the non-space that this lens has created, and you can kind of peer through the lens very briefly to see out into a very different space.
What the
Something dark
Yeah.
and kind of glimmering, and then all at once the charcoal ignites anew with flames that aren't amber but blue, as it consumes the rest of the mound very quickly, and then all at once it's gone. The lens, the charcoal, the feather, there's nothing but a little bit of a smoking outline left in the pavement beneath you.
Cheeps looks around for a moment, looks at the ring of little charcoal that's left, waits for something to happen for a minute. Does anything happen?
You can feel briefly your like, the little bit of the tingle in the back of your head that you kind of reach out for whenever you go to cast a spell.
Mm-hmm.
That like buzzes briefly, like it's a little bit stronger,
Warlock.
and then as soon as you feel that, you feel it like get just a bit stronger, and then it disappears.
Mm. Right. The Cheeps will at that point say, just kind of confusingly say, thank you, Miss Raven, and return back to society at large. As
Awesome.
to say. All right. Which leads me to which leads
that
me
was
to
the boring stuff.
well, it's not as not exactly boring. It was more of errand work. That was one day out of 7. The other 6, he has other responsibilities that he needs to follow up on. Specifically, he needs to talk to Dahlia's new girlfriend.
Gonna fucking interrogate Zoya. Well, okay, so before you do that, I do have a conversation I want to have with you that might affect that conversation.
Okay,
Maybe just a little bit.
perfect.
Because I kind of want to circle back to actually right where we left off last session. Where I had promised you a talk.
Mhm.
So I kind of want to do this kind of in sequential order for that specifically, just to make sure, just to see. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll be, yeah, it'll be
One thing
necessary.
I do kind of want to retcon something because I said that I gave Dahlia the toy. I think since that point, I probably would have actually taken it back because I realized that we had more time than I thought we had. There was stuff going on. So I'll kind of retcon that a little bit if that's fine.
You can just kind of go ahead and scratch that and just be like, yeah, I kept it all along.
Yeah, okay.
It's totally okay.
It didn't really turn into anything. So
That's okay. It's
Cool, are you
also
moving
Caroline
things
probably
around?
forgot.
Shh, it's fine.
yeah, so I think right after we get back and we do this thing, Clarice gets back and all this, I think pretty shortly thereafter, Dollar will turn to you, Cheeps, and say, I believe I promised you a talk.
Mm-hmm. Cheeps obviously still isn't entirely happy at you for snapping at him.
Yeah! Fair enough. Here, why don't we go up to your room, or wherever you're comfortable. Somewhere quiet.
Okay. If that's what you want. Cheeps will just kind of go upstairs and go into his room and sit in his nest, in a way, nest of stuff, and look at you expectantly and pouty.
I think Stoller will kind of like scratch the back of his neck and be like, kind of gesture to the edge of the bed and be like, "May I?"
Mm-hmm.
Stoller will sit down, and say, before we really get into this, I do want to apologize. Tensions were high. I became snappish, as is my want.
Really? Yeah, you did.
I know. And I don't like when I get like that either. It's just not the way to deal with these things. So I am sorry. Here, he kind of like pulls out the little dog, kind of like sets it next to himself. He's kind of like offering. Staller's being a little bit meek here. Just like here's my offering of my peace offering.
Cheeps stares at it for a moment. You know, I didn't think you were. I thought you were You were above trying to buy people.
Now, Chief, this isn't
Mission failed.
bribery.
Oh, like, I thought that was something that the foreman did.
Chiefs, I'm not trying to buy your forgiveness or approval. If you don't want it, don't take it.
It's gone.
I,
Chief, like as
well,
you
I
were
can
looking,
give it back to Clarice if you really don't want it.
you were looking away. Chiefs grabbed it, and now is kind of playing with it, like twisting it.
I sincerely got it for you because I thought you might like
I didn't say I didn't like it.
it. Well,
I'm still not happy.
I understand. That's
I mean, still there. I mean, you do know why. You know why I'm not happy, right? With Stoya, is that her name? Svoya? Well, sorry,
Zoya.
this Zoya. Zoya, right? And all her other people.
I'm trying to understand. I don't know if I can say for sure that I completely get it. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from, and I think I do, because I think what you feel towards, well, okay, I'm gonna try and explain something about what I said when I snapped, and maybe we'll both come to an understanding because of it. From the way that I see things, Zoya and the Red Guard, I you say that we're different, and we are. We're very different. Our circumstances were very different. Oh. But here's the truth of the matter. Zoya and the rest are not only different, but they are better than me.
How could they be better than you? They were still with the guard last time when we were fighting. They were still with the guard when we were assaulting the citadel.
Calm down. I'll explain. When I was still one of the guard, when I was first a cadet, and then a foot soldier, and then an SO, and then a major. I climbed all of those ranks. I did that. And I had the thought. There was a seed planted. I had the thought that I could leave. I could. There were ways, despite what Isa says. There were ways for all of us to just leave. There were vast expanses of time where we were unsupervised. We weren't being watched. They trusted us to do our job. And we did it. Sometimes we did it with pride. We felt our jobs were necessary, good, and righteous, and correct. We were on the right side.
Why would you think that? Why would you think that anything a guard did was good?
Stalder kind of gets a roof smile, and he's
That's
like,
I thought
"You're, you're
I thought you
catching the gist of it now. You're starting to understand how this works. See, that's how they get you. That's how they keep you. They tell you these things, plant ideas in your head. They give you things, privileges, and it keeps you loyal. And it keeps you fearful of what happens when they decide you're not useful anymore. I didn't leave of my own volition. I was forced out. And there was a time, and maybe this will make you think less of me. There was a time where I would have turned on any one of you gladly for a chance to have my place back. Um, Zoya and the rest.
even when we were in the museum.
Uh, there was. There was a point where it became less likely, less fortuitous, and my mind was starting to change. I was starting to see things as they are and not as I thought they were. Um, I couldn't tell you the exact point when I decided that everything I knew was wrong, and that being on the side of the revolution, on Tosa's side, was where I was supposed to be. Um, no, I could have left and I didn't, was the point of this. Um, no. Zoya joined because Zoya probably heard something about how great the guard is, how helpful, how righteous and good, and all the things I was also told. You know, for some, choosing between the guard and the docks. Would you rather be on an airship far from home, laboring away, or would you rather live in a cushy garrison, earning a decent living, doing what you thought noble and good? She heard that and decided that's what she wanted, tried it, and saw the bullshit. Saw that it was all lies. And so she and 100 or so others saw the same, did the same. They got out. So they are bigger than I ever was.
I I'm sorry. I'm still trying to parse this.
It's all right. Like I said, I understand if this maybe changes your perspective of me.
No. No, 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 no. She just comes up to you. Hmm. I- I'm not angry at you. Well, I mean, but you've done nothing but help me. I mean, even if you're mean sometimes and really cold and just don't get things.
I hope you're going somewhere with it. I deserve it, but I really hope you're, have a goal in mind. That phrase.
um, but I know you don't. I don't know. You always get confused when I call you Dad, but there's a reason I call you Dad.
I was
I
going
love
to
you.
ask. I was going to ask about that.
Staldar, you. The reason I say you seem to be different than everybody is because you seem to care about everybody a bit more than what I see most guards did. And well, when I was living on the streets, the guards were not there. I'm sure you know to well keep us safe. They weren't there to make sure nobody got hurt. They were there to not to make sure things went the way they wanted to do. They, they they used to tell me that, of course, like you said, the guards are supposed to be righteous. They were supposed to keep everybody safe, and they were supposed to make sure everybody was. But you tried to do that. You you show you sh- you actually tried to make the place this city better, even if you were being misled, and even if you were having. I don't know how to feel about you wanting to leave us, but the more you showed over time to just I'm sorry. Okay, out of character. I'm sorry. I'm getting my words mixed up.
It's alright. It's alright.
Um, you showed that you would do anything to make this city better, and you showed that you would do anything to make sure we were okay. And that's why I think you're better than most guards, and that's why I think you're like a dad, like my dad, if I had a dad. Do like you do what you have to do to keep people safe. You mess up, but you have a good heart, and you really do want to make things better. I know I just repeated myself many times, but do you get what I'm saying? Staldar, Dad. I'm
Yep.
Thanks. Stellar, kind of as he's listening, and he goes kind of quiet, and he's just kind of he kind of keeps switching from looking at you, and then he turns his face away, and he kind of puts a hand up to his mouth, and um, oh, he just kind of gathers himself for a moment, just um, cat, you are being so distracting right now. Fuck off. He's chasing a fly. Just a very tender moment, and I'm watching fucking Bolt like running around chasing a fucking fly. Oh my god. Go away. Uh um he he leans back on the bed, scoots back just a little bit, and kind of gestures for you to like. He just kind of gives like a "come here" motion, like come closer.
Keeps inches forward.
Just like he wants you in his lap. This like he is like get in my lap. Like as soon as you're like within arm's reach, he just pulls you like in,
Oh.
kind of settles you in. He gives a big sigh. Um, you
But you kind of stuttered there.
yeah, I'm choosing my words.
Oh, okay.
I probably sighed into the mic and it probably made a you know whatever. You have grown so much in the short time that we've known each other, Chiefs. I kind of like shakes his head in disbelief. It baffles me how much you've grown. Yeah, really in a physical sense. So I seems like you've grown an inch or two. I don't know.
Keeps kind of puffs up a little with a little bit of pride there at the note that somebody noticed his tiny little bit of height growth.
Um, no, you've grown so much as a person.
I didn't notice.
I did. I did, and I'm sure Dahlia has, and we've only known Amity for a short amount of time, but I'm sure that he's seen it too. All of us. Cheeps, I'm proud of you. I am so damn proud of you. For sticking up for yourself and what you believe in, and others. You are so brave. I'm choking myself up. Shit. God damn it. Uh, you are just so brave and resilient and um
Keeps begins to like settle into your lap a little bit more the more you say that. Like he was nervous at first, but he's just kind of melting a little bit.
I don't think you quite understand just how special you've become to us all. I know I haven't done a very good job of expressing this. I'm You had it right when you said that. I'm a grouchy cold, tired old man Jeeps. But you've taught me something about myself. And I, there are some things I need to tell you first before I kind of get into some things I'd like to ask. I'm not always going to be here. Um, I'm once we've gotten the city back to rights, more or less, at least once we've dealt with the biggest problems it's facing, I'm leaving.
Cheap. What do you mean? Like, you're just gonna leave all of us, or what do you mean?
Don't panic, Tom. Just listen. I'm Yorsashi and I are going to leave the city. I think we both need a change of pace, of scenery. Um, as much as I want to see the city flourish, I I personally can't bear to stay in it. Not not permanently. It's my home, but it's also not. It's it's just where I grew up. So when this is over, we're going to go traveling. Um, we
Can I
would
go with you?
that was going to be my next question. I I don't want to separate you from the others. I know you hold bonds with them as well. Um, but I remember what you asked me about leaving, going somewhere else. And Yorsashi and I talked, and we thought we would be more than happy to have you along with us.
Cheeps runs up and hugs you. Like, I love you, Dad.
Stoller just squeezes back as tight as he can without like actually crushing you. I love you too. I love you too. Um, just kind of like as he's holding you, his tone takes on a slightly lighter tone. And he's like, "Now we would be traveling back and forth a bit, I imagine. So it's not as though we would be completely moving away. I'm sure the others would be more than happy to, see."
Yeah, yeah. Of course I won't. I want to see them again. I don't want to leave them. forever.
No, certainly not forever. There's one more matter, Jeeps. I'm I'm so happy that you want to come with us. I'm glad. But there's a chance that we may not make it that far. You said
She-
you
Cheap
Sorry?
squeezes harder. No, we are.
Jeeps. I appreciate that, I do, and he kind of like starts to like pry you off a little bit to set you back down.
Mhm.
I know that it's hard to think about. It's hard to consider that possibility. You told me that you don't want to end up like Clarice. And I understand, I do. But I'm just a man. And you're just a boy. And we're not invincible. We're not infallible. Or infallible, rather. Eh. Mistakes can be made, or there's just the strong possibility that we'll be simply overwhelmed. We don't know yet. We don't know anything. I I need you. No, okay, here. I can't ask you to be okay with whatever results from this conflict. I can't ask that. That's not reasonable. But I do. If it comes to it, I need you to be stronger and braver than ever. I need you to be able to do this thing that you have to do. You're the only one.
I'll do anything I need to do.
All
I
right.
trust you.
All right. And once that thing is done, then you can do whatever you need to do to move on. Break down, cry, whatever it is that helps you.
Okay. Mm.
I know it's a difficult thing for me to even ask. But this is our situation right now. And we can only hope that it doesn't come to that. I don't want it to come to that, Chief.
I won't let it.
You understand that what I'm asking of you You can't throw yourself in harm's way. All right? You can't. You.
I promise.
Even if. Hmm.
Promise I won't do anything that could hurt me. To keep you safe. If that's what you want.
It is. Because in this situation, I I'm always trying my best to keep you safe, but now I this is my job. This is what I must do. So we have one chance, and we cannot afford to lose it. I daughter kind of like slowly stand. Um, I'll let you think on that a bit for now. Um, I'm afraid there's so much to do. Um, but no matter how busy I may seem, please, if you have any questions, just you know.
I'll ask.
Mm-hmm. Kind of gives you one last fond pat, and he starts walking out.
Love you, Dad.
Stellar kind of like pauses and he's like, he kind of stops and he almost looks weirdly like dissonant from like what y'all were just talking about. He kind of like turns around and he looks sheepish. He's like, you don't necessarily have to call me that. I mean, we're
Okay.
he like
I just like it. And
he just keep like he's almost like blushing from just like embarrassment because it's just like, well, I'm not saying you have to stop. It's just so I guess I'm just not used to it.
it's all right.
um I is it he kind of struggles for a second. He's like, you know what, never mind, never mind. He just kind of like walks briskly out.
Alright. And scene.
Yep, yeah, basically.
Yeah. Sorry, I drew that out.
No, it's good.
No, that was
I knew
great.
that was going to be a really long conversation, so
Look forward to me playing sad piano music in the background of the recording. Only very briefly.
Yeah. So can I say what I was going to do?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Very briefly, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Jeeps is going to try to take Staldar's words to heart, try to get to know the Red Guard, is that what the name?
For the organization, yeah.
And maybe try to help try to learn to trust them, and hopefully start smoothing out any problems with other civilians who do not trust them.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe one of the best things for you to do then, is like kind of be their like
Liaison.
yeah, I was about or like a community rep. Like basically like I'm imagining you like walking Zoya around the general residence district and just like pointing at stuff and just be like, all right, so this gang usually hangs out on this corner. They're fine, like they're super chill. They don't care. They gave Auntie Graysack like cookies all the time. Like they're actually pretty good for the community. And it's just like and this is the house of a famous capitalist. He sucks.
That guy's old cheesy. He looks really creepy. Has a heart of gold. Don't mess with him.
Old cheesy.
Writes down old cheesy.
God.
Oh my god.
He's just this guy with like very few teeth. Big old trench coat. Looks like he's hiding creepy things, but he's just like really nice when you get to know him.
Amazing. Yeah.
Gross.
And like he's actually completely innocent.
Yeah, in that case, how about you roll rapport?
Of course.
And basically to try and like ingratiate both yourself with Zoya and also the Red Guard with the community. Because I think you're spot on in that the like General Residence District has some serious reservations about just like letting previous guards fight their war for them.
Okay. So that's going just to be a 2d6.
Yep,
correct?
straight 2d6.
All right, that's okay. 7. It's
All
gonna be
right.
Okay.
All right. So, in that case, here's your options. Partial success. That you have a few options of partial success. Partial success in that it just works less than you'd hoped. Like you managed to get some people who were kind of on the fence on board, but you really don't garner a ton of like full scale support. Enough that they're fine to work around the place, but not enough so that they actually like do it. Or you can do something immediately that shows both your and Zoya's commitment to the community over their station. Yeah, those two.
Cheap says, gonna go for the second option. Cheaps, how many statues of how many famous capitalists have statues around the industrial district, or just plaques, well, not plaques, dedicated to their quote-unquote philanthropy?
Enough.
Cheap says,
Yeah.
Cheap says, find the Cheaps will point out the capitalists who essentially are the worst. Show them their I guess the worst of them, and tell them find anything with their mark on it and destroy it. Do that, and people might like you a bit more.
Yeah.
It's like tearing down statues of fucking Robert E. Lee.
Yeah, no, I think and I think she takes it to heart. Like she kind of like looks at you funny for a minute, but then just kind of like thinks about it and is just like, yeah. And she ends up putting a squad together that basically does this for like an afternoon. They just like find all the like shitty noble bosses who have been fucking with the district and just like starts tearing their shit down.
Yeah.
And
Cheeps is directing them to do it with very certain equipment. He says, use crowbars, do not use warhammers, do not use any guard equipment. Use stuff you find.
Mm-hmm.
Do not... I know you want to be the guard, but recognize that the people don't like anything about the guard as a unit.
if you're going to try to reform reform them, act as though you're better, you probably won't win anybody. Show yourself show that you are that you are this, that you are not necessarily the same, but you stand in solidarity with them. Show that you will toss aside everything that that you represented before. It doesn't matter if you put a red a red scarf around your arm. The uniform you wear is still the people who hurt us. It still belongs to the people who hurt us.
Hell yeah.
Okay. That's it. All
He
right.
says that.
Yeah. No, I think
Little, like, radical hand baller.
Well, one thing I think that she ends up doing in the process of doing this is like almost not to make too much of a show of it, but when they go to do this, they shed their armor. To get down to like elbow grease, like brass tacks. They're not here to fight, they're here to work. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, if that is what happens this week, I believe we have a certain druidic elf to get back to.
Okay.
Ruh-roh.
Could
It's time.
Oh,
I do
I'll be right back.
one more thing?
you have one more thing?
Yeah, I've been kind of like going back and forth. I think this would be a good moment for everyone, just for all of us to have together. And Staller is going to let's see. How do I want to go about this? Who would I go to if I want just plain Jane, just jewelry? No enchantments, nothing special. Just I want to acquire some very plain jewelry.
I think there's just some like there are jewelers in the merchant district. They're a little harder to access now, but like
Yeah, I was about to say.
yeah, there's a couple still in operation.
Okay. Saldar is attempting to procure just 2 simple gold bands. Nothing fancy. No inscriptions, no.
Yeah. The jeweler is happy to sell them to you. Kind of happy to get any business right now, actually. You get a pretty good deal. It's 2 gold for the pair.
Oh, wow. Okay. Done and done. Yeah. And I think he does this actually somewhat early in the week. And he just holds on to it until like say like the 6th night, depending on how this is working. And Steldar's being pulled in all these different directions, having all these conversations, kind of got his finger on all these different pulses. He's been so harried and pulled in all these different directions. And there's finally a night where none of that's going on. And he decides he wants to spend it with Yorsach. And yeah, I think they're just kind of lounging in their own room, just kind of enjoying each other's company. Just in this harrowing, crazy week.
Mm-hmm.
finding a moment to just be quiet together.
Yeah. I think it's yeah, the night has gone weirdly quiet. Like for once there's just a day of not even a day, just the evening of calm where nothing's really going on. No one seems the tension is still there, but there's no direct threats going on.
I want to say that they're probably reminiscing.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah, I think they're kind of talking about like the old times and
The good days.
yeah, because despite all the kind of the atrocities and terrible things and the stresses and the conflict, even amongst themselves, there are still good moments, and I think there's a lot to still like look back on and laugh about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely some joking about like when they get posted out in like different climates and weathers, and like Yosashi being like like this humid rainy summer and just being like reveling in it, and then Staldar in this deep winter and Yosashi just like freezing his ass off.
Oh, poor thing.
It wouldn't be my fault if they issued us thicker coats.
Maybe you just need a thicker skin.
Hey, I'll show you thick skin.
Uh. I need y'all to stop. I'm gonna click away to a fucking different chat. Y'all are distracting.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like I had a fucking conversation in my head, and now that's all gone. No, despite the weather, whatever conditions we may have been under, those were some of the best times, I think. Outside of the city.
Mm-hmm. It's good to be away from the stone, the people, the roads, just out there.
I mean, it kind of felt like freedom, didn't it? Just a little taste every so often. Just for however long. Just a little bit.
Just enough. Well, maybe not enough.
No, it's never enough.
Coming back was always the hardest. Trudging. Rank and file behind everyone else, knowing that leaving all that behind just to sit in the barracks.
Yeah. That was when we were at our worst. Was behind those walls. I'm sorry. I just had a really strange thought. I
Hmm?
I don't know. Maybe it's not a good idea. It's no, it's it's a terrible idea.
Well, you
It's
can't just say it like that. You can't, you know, share with the whole class.
I mean, there's nothing going on tonight. Not until morning. Everything's quiet. Even the guard have been mostly subdued. Dude, do you want to go somewhere?
Where?
I
I wouldn't know.
let's
Just take a walk.
quick question for DM.
Mhm. Yes, hello. I am the DM.
Hi. What's up? How accessible is the beach?
Unfortunately, it's Kyla's a cliffside city.
Mm,
Along the river, in the agricultural district, you could get some stuff.
okay. I thought we had a beach somewhere. I wrote a whole fic about it.
I don't know if that was like in Kyla. If it is, it's going to be up in the exclusive residence district or by the academic district.
Oh, okay. So probably not easily accessible then. Probably
No.
too difficult for just like a fucking. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. Yeah. Then absolutely. Let's. Yeah. Just follow the river.
Yeah. Yeah, and the one thing that's nice about the agricultural district is while still civilized and organized into farms and whatnot, it does fade a little bit. Less so much stone and the paving of streets and more the cobbling and the gravel of roads. You just kind of end up across the river. Not across the river, near the river.
Yeah. And what kind of night is it?
Clear.
What are the
Nice
moons
moon.
doing? I'm gonna like keep asking like questions about the atmosphere. What are the moons
There's
like?
there's a moon and a half. Because that's how astronomy works, right?
Fantasy
And
moons.
one is almost full. It's in waxing gibbous, and the other is close to a crescent.
Okay.
Shines nicely off the running water.
I think this is when I feel most like myself.
By the river?
Well, just not cooped up. No paper to do. You. Just somewhere else.
Yeah. Always have to go back eventually.
Eventually.
But not now.
Exactly. And I think Daughter kind of stares intently at the moons for a second. And his brow kind of furrows. And I think he's asking a question internally. But I think he's asking now. He's half expecting an answer.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think the moons shimmer. And they don't move any faster than they already were, but as you just kind of watch them, you see them rise up, and you see one as it was already doing so, but you notice now that one starts to pass in front of the other until the curve formed by one nestles into the light absent from the other to create a single glowing circle.
All right. I think that's answer enough. Still, will slowly reach into a pocket. I think he's kind of phased away from your Sashi. Your Sashi. This is a phrase I've been saying a lot lately, but I've been thinking.
A dangerous proposition.
Quite. I was going to wait. I keep telling myself that when things are over, when things are better, when things are fixed, when there's time. The problem with thinking that way is that there's a chance those things won't happen. And if I base everything that I do or want to do on those things, there's a good chance I will come to regret the things that I didn't do. I live with that now. I regret the things that I didn't let myself do because I was afraid. And I regret that I didn't take all the time that I could have. And now I fear that there's a chance that we're out. We might be out of time. So he kind of like slowly turns and like faces him properly. And he's just cupping these things in his hands tightly. And okay. Alright, I'm gonna do something. He starts to kneel, and then he kind of like grunts and is like, no, and he kind of stands back up properly. He's like,
Yeah.
Can't do that much anymore. He just steps closer and he pulls out one of the rings.
I think after hearing you talk about just talk in this manner for a while, I'm pretty sure Sasha's already caught on to where you're going with this. And when you actually come to meet his gaze, his eyes are watering. And like as soon as you step forward, he just like flings himself into you. And gives you a very tight embrace and then takes a step back. It's just like, sorry, I know you probably had this prepared.
I hardly. I'm kind of winging it here.
That's new.
You know, I'm trying new things. It's, yeah, I guess I'll ask.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. And he kind of like reaches out to Yorsashi's hand.
Yorsashi freely gives it.
And he places the ring on.
Yorsashi extends a hand to grab the other ring.
He'll give it.
And he takes your hand and tries to ease it onto your finger.
Yeah, and I think Stalder, he went to some effort to make sure that
Right, they're sized.
Yeah, the other, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
Big,
not having this
big
moment where it's
dragonborn fingers.
like, shit, it doesn't fucking fit.
You went to a jeweler for a reason. These ain't back alley rings.
And Stalder's he's smiling, like Staller has a few different smiles. There's like the trying to smile and it looks awful, and it's like, nah, this is just a real big genuine smile, just beaming. And smiles into himself, and he's like, so we only have a day. He just kind of looks up at Yorsashi.
Well, maybe we hold the ceremony for later. I don't know.
Well,
do we need to?
Well,
I guess we could get Dahlia to do something. I don't really know how this whole works.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do away with the usual formalities. But
I do have some ideas if we want to. It's a nice chapel and it's cake, the chairs. How do you feel about lavender and yellow?
I'm happy with whatever you choose.
Good.
Most important to me is that we get to be with everyone. Maybe just for a few hours. And not be so scared of what might happen. One last time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking ahead a little bit. I think Stalder sends Dahlia a message, because he can do that now. And the message is just, do you want to officiate our wedding? That's the message. Just in the middle of the night.
You probably get just screaming back. Like, no joke, it's just... oh my god, this is actually happening. Oh my god, she owes me money. Hell yes.
Oh my god.
You also hear somehow in this ending, Dahlia, is everything okay? Why are you screaming?
Yeah, you just hear Catherine through sending also screaming.
No, it's 100%. If anyone's in the temple, it's just the both of them screaming at one another now.
Oh my god. night is it by this point?
uh,
Kind of wishy-washy.
Night. It's night.
1:50.
Cool.
Woke me up for
We've
this.
got how long until morning? A while.
Enough
Where are
time.
we exactly? It's
You're
really
along
wishy-washy.
the river in magical along the wizard land. Eli, your guitar.
Oh, sorry. Shit, I thought I did.
I'm gonna forget that you're here.
He's practicing for the wedding.
How rural are we?
Pretty. Not like super rural, but look, I haven't put a lot of work into the agricultural district.
I guess the real question is, can we safely say that nobody's around?
Yes.
Cool. In that case, yeah, kind of as they're having this moment, and Stoddard will kind of like lean in for another embrace. He kind of like, as he's holding him, he's like, so we don't necessarily need to be back until, we'll say 10 a.m.
I suppose not.
I'll say kind of like with the forethought of like they were gonna go on kind of like a midnight stroll along the river. Stalder also like brought along like essentially a picnic blanket, more or less.
That makes
some
sense.
kind of like kind of like roll it out. Just be like a bit like old time, right?
Yeah.
Under the stars.
Just a bit.
Kind of like sit down and pat.
Yusashi definitely like sits down and then immediately like leans up against you.
There are other things that I would like to make sure I don't regret. Okay, so the wording is a little bit strange here. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. I'm so bad. He kind of whispers to himself. He's like it turns his head away in frustration. He's just like, I'm so bad at this.
I think as you turn away, he just kind of like leans in and gives you just like a big old lick across the side of the face that you turned away from. It's just like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Kind of gets like a dopey smile. Wanna make sure neither of us has any regrets later. That's like.
We'll work on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to.
Yeah, so we'll kind of like lean over and return the gesture and fade to black.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Don't necessarily.
Sounds like an okay time to fade to black.
Dollar's piss poor attempts at seduction.
It's endearing.
You like jazz, Yurosaki?
All right.
He's trying.
He is trying. So, the next day. I'm trying to think of how we should do this. I mean, this is your input at this point. You said the 6th today. So today, my question is then, is today the day that you is today the day that Amity is supposed to be bringing tribute to Terran?
I mean, that was my general idea.
Oh, I kind of had the understanding that we had the week, and then directly after the week was done was kind of when we would kind of have this catalyst. But if we kind of want to push that back a bit, we could say, because what I'm imagining here is kind of one last day where things are all right, and then maybe, I don't know.
I also kind of like the dramatic tension of them both being on the same day.
Of what?
Of them both being on the same day, of you trying to cram this in as late as possible.
Fucking shotgun ass wedding, just trying to all right, I know we have to face a dragon and do kickstart this whole shebang, but can we fit in just a wedding?
Mm-hmm.
just kind of shoehorn it right in there.
Yeah, I mean, with that, this is your scene more than anything else. Probably you and Dahlia more than anyone.
Are you joking? I can't be there as
No, it's not that you can't be there. You're absolutely going to be there.
The 3 of us. Everyone's gonna be there.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be kind of the 2 of us running the show.
Figuring out.
Officiate
Yeah, I was about to say figuring out who sets it up.
Let me look up how to marry.
Or how it is set up.
Give me a
Are you
minute.
sure this is an Amity territory as well?
Wiki how to marry people.
Marry.
Amity will try to get in on this. You know that.
So there's a wiki
Dahlia.
there's a wiki how on it. I'm reading it. Give me a minute.
This is literally Dahlia right now.
I'm planning.
Just comes to
Plan ahead to pop the question.
runs to one of the other fucking clerics and is just like, "Hey, how the fuck do you marry people?"
She's probably done it
Gotta
once and
learn.
she was literally so drunk when it happened.
Yeah, it happened during one of the Posen Ragers.
She's like, yeah, man, alright, out, man, hell yeah, pose and bless you, let's get it.
You want to be married to this person as well. You both want to be married. You're married now. Boom.
Probably one of those things, he was married for 3 minutes.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
I'm a wedding
I love,
officiant.
I love every part about this, Dahlia, because I every part of you saying anything just gives me a new idea of how you're doing it.
I'm so glad.
You're talking to this guy and he's like, well, let me go through the history of
no,
weddings.
no.
Yeah, and you're just like, I don't have time for that. I need the short version now.
Okay,
They're
okay,
getting married
okay.
and looks at watch 20 minutes.
I found it. How to marry someone in prison, 11 steps with pictures. We're set.
My god.
Step 1, deciding to marry.
Oh.
Timing.
Jesus.
Step 2, learn the prison rules. Counseling. Step 3. Okay, hold on.
All
Okay.
right.
I'm muting myself. I'm sorry.
All right. So yeah, then, how do you want this to be set up, Staldar /
Yeah.
Hannah?
Yeah. It's definitely the sort of slapdash sort of thing, where it's just so this isn't a big deal, but also it's kind of a big deal, and it would mean a lot to me if everybody was here, at least, the Isa Ilmiatosa extended,
Mm-hmm.
everyone. Just to whether or not this is just maybe the afternoon before we go, Amity goes to face a dragon. I'm guessing also we probably want to do this at night, like the actual, like the not the
Yes.
wedding,
Yes.
okay, that makes sense to me. Literally doing this all like the morning before. Like I like the idea that we can't even get drunk though because we have this thing going on later, so it's not even like that sort of like shotgun wedding.
hmm
It's
No, absolutely.
You're in the church of Posen. It's fine.
Shotgun wedding is the only type of wedding that Posen knows how to do.
yeah, this could be in the temple. Like I don't think.
See, the academic district is hard to get to right now.
See, that was
For
my
all of
understanding.
you.
So I was like, everyone was talking about the temple. I was like, oh, do we have an easy way to the temple now? But if not, like,
Dahlia's got her methods.
Hey, Caroline's dumb and didn't remember. That's the only reason behind
Yeah.
it.
I was thinking this was gonna be like,
Swim.
really low key, like really low key, and probably just happen in the spider's den, just like kind of in the common area.
That's kind of how I pictured it too.
And it's literally just. All right, now I'm imagining Dahlia just like standing on the bar. we... All right, okay. The backdrop is the fucking like all the bottles
Mhm.
behind the bar and shit. Like, oh my god.
But also, there's like some spears and pole arms and swords
So
like up back there.
unromantic, Jesus Christ, the most unromantic bullshit.
Rick is just in the background sighing.
She's just trying to stay awake, man. How
It's, like,
late is it?
so early in the morning. It's ridiculous.
Like, at one point you realize he's out for the count.
Taking a nap. Aw. Aw.
Amity definitely looked like he is crying. Just like wiping
All
a
right.
tear from his eye, like, finally.
Weird. Alright. Scholar's definitely just kind of pointedly ignoring your weird emotional response to this. All things considered. I don't even know if they have like proper vows prepared. It's really just kind of a like. I think they say a few words in Draconic, just kind of like promising to, you know, like stay by each other's side. And then Dahlia does whatever Dahlia does to make that happen.
I have the entire Declaration of Intent open.
Oh my fucking god.
I have the whole thing open.
Do you intend to read it?
Do this? We can. If we just want to speed through it.
I
okay.
was about to say I don't
That's
think we
for-
super need to.
Married,
Um,
yes or no? There we go.
Are we married?
Thumbs up, give me a thumbs down.
Not even words, just thumbs up or down.
I don't even know, like, it's to the point where it's like, I don't even think Staller knows what a wedding consists of. He's probably never even been to one. So this is all just like, yeah, sure, this is definitely what all weddings might as well be like, because
I don't know.
yeah.
Dahlia's literally on the side. She's like, "Say I do. Just say that. That's all you need." Like trying to give like subtle things. So just be like, "This is how you do it."
Hissing at Staldar.
Alright, I do.
Can I be casting ceremony at this point?
Yes,
Oh,
yes
yeah.
you can.
Okay,
You can ritual cast it too, which means it won't take a
I
spell
can.
slot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm gonna be doing.
Yep.
Casting that for them. So, I now declare you husband and husband.
Catherine in the back is just like, woo! Mm.
Yeah.
There's polite applause from Alice and Tosa and the squad. Isa and Ilmia give each other a meaningful look. Yeah, and Yosashi leans in and gives you a smooch.
He returns it.
Dahlia's straight up sobbing.
Oh.
Yes, Stellar's just, even with this kind of like impending thing hanging over them, I think he looks relieved and just like, as glowy as Stalder can look, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, sure, he looks cheerful.
Probably at a glance, and then you like stare at it for a little bit longer. It's just like, is he? Is yeah. Right. He yeah right yeah.
I don't know what Amity is doing, but he is doing his damnedest to make this like the most joyful experience possible.
So what you're saying is songbirds.
Songbirds?
You're a druid. Make songbirds happen. Doves, something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Doves just kind of explode out of nowhere.
Yeah, Amity blows all of his spell slots.
Jesus.
This is such a special occasion, so like I had to summon the Ankeg.
Everybody screams and runs.
Everyone screams and runs except for Isa and Ilmia, who are just like, "Aw, that's so nice."
Oh my god.
All the Underdark folk are just like, "Wow, that's such a gesture."
Oh my god.
He's my best friend. He's wearing a scarf.
Oh, the crowd is just like, don't you know, Aunt Keg are lucky. Oh.
So you get +2 AC while you're within 30 feet of Yosashi for the next 7 days. Ah, I see you are metagaming this entire time. The long con.
No.
This has literally been an on-running gag, I think, since I got the spell.
Probably, yeah. No, I think since
It's been a joke.
you were in the
Dolly getting
Underdark.
married. It's just, like,
Just joked about everybody getting married.
Yeah.
yeah, just marrying each other.
They would just make all of us tankier.
Yeah. I think literally since you were in the Underdark was the
It's
first
such a
time
long
you
gag, and
wanted to do it.
Finally here.
Speaking of which, say Amity. It's time.
It's time.
Celebration. Hooray. Now, dragon.
Yeah, it's like we go from like celebrate good times to like like Game of Thrones.
Miss my own friend.
You hear the start of the like Halo theme in the background in the distance. Da 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 da.
Here we go, I guess. I've been waiting for this for a long time. This is the part where I revealed to the entire crew that I was the villain all along, and all of your plans have been foiled.
I'm actually gonna make Taryn more angry.
No, I'm not gonna. I thought about like actually starting the conversation like that was happening, and I was like, I can't actually do that. I'll get murdered. Yeah, so I'm gonna fly out and try and talk to Taryn again.
Yep, he's chilling on top of the citadel.
I find a good old perch, and I turn back into drow form and give him a good hearty shout at.
You have returned. Well, does this mean you've got some news?
I do.
Now you're married.
And then Taryn and Amity became husband and husband.
That's your bribery. I'll be your wife.
Is Is this gonna be like Twisted, where afterwards I come back and you're all like, dragon fucker,
Literally, I was
dragon fucker?
I just watched Twisted like 2 days ago, and I was thinking about that.
Good. Absolutely good.
Dragon fucker.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's an honorific, if anything.
Yeah, Amity wouldn't necessarily be upset by that. Anyways.
Anyway.
So, I have. Well, I don't. I'll let you decide what I have for you.
Curious.
Taryn, kind of as per our last conversation, we're prepared to give you
As
upfront.
per my last email.
We're prepared to give you a large sum upfront, both money and livestock, and I've been assured that this will continue after our victory. But I have to say that your weight in tipping the scale so much in their favor, I wonder if you've considered what the scale looks like without you on it. Because before this victory was assured in our favor, and with you, whom I revered as a god for a long time, would you so willingly side with a demon and his ilk when we have the Raven Queen and Borak both on our side? I mean, Taryn, you brought out the powers in me, gave me my name, Friend of Nature. You know what I'm capable of, and those around me are just as capable. These small men will fall without you, blinded by the arrogance of this demon who is clearly unaware that his end is.
You pique my curiosity, Amity. Always do. Curious. Well.
That like sends shivers up his spine.
Give me much to consider. His scales kind of like ripple outward as he kind of rises a bit from the seated position he was in and kind of looks out onto the larger span of New Kyla and just goes, If what you say is true, and I have no reason to disbelieve it, this city will not be a boon for me in no pieces. I cannot benefit from a civilization ground to dust by its own ignorance. I would like you to make a persuasion check.
Oh,
Fuck it
fuck.
up. Don't fuck it up.
Do you have inspiration? Because if you do not, you should, because you gave a very good little speech.
Yeah.
Well, I'm likely going to use that inspiration. We'll find out.
Yeah.
That is how the mechanic is meant to be designed, yes.
Oh, God, that's a 14. Should I, if I use inspiration, is it that is the roll that's taken, or is it the highest of the two?
Higher of the two.
I'm going to definitely use that.
You get advantage on... Inspiration gives you advantage on whatever roll you want.
Yeah, it's going to be a 14 then.
Oh, that's such a weird number. Oh,
Like, it's not awful, but it's
Hmm.
not
It's a
like,
weird number.
great.
Taryn considers.
there's more you can put on the table.
Well, I gotta hear what he says first.
Yeah.
You intrigue me. I'll tell you what. You've promised this tribute. Present it. and I will make a decision then.
Ooh.
Where do you want us to present it to you?
He kind of looks over the noble district and at the various bridges, and he gestures down to the one that he saw you all skittering across into the industrial district before, and just says, "This should do fine."
Just because you're cutting out you're saying the bridge that we were like
Left from, yeah. The bridge between the noble district and the industrial district.
Okay. What happens if you decide it's not enough?
He grins.
No.
Well, that will be an interesting event, will it not?
Say that's the case. Is there no other parlay we can have? Is that the end of your decision?
Such certainties are unlikely. Perhaps if you have something that is attractive at the time and the place, I know not what you will have. You will see.
I guess that's the end then, huh? Because I can't think of anything else to say. I think honest Amity will just kind of like he'll just kind of bow his head like as a gesture of respect, and then fucking turn into a bird and leave.
All right.
Bobbits.
Yeah, so Amity shows back up at the spider's den. And yeah. You were just I heard you like waiting on that. You're like, it's coming. I just didn't give you time. So I'm just gonna show up and just kind of tell him that it's gonna be a crapshoot. Like, there's no way of knowing if it's gonna work or not. We just gotta do the best that we can, and if it's not enough, then we can try and go back with more. But I don't know what else we would have to offer.
I mean,
We could possibly, instead of just us, the organization, offering tribute, we make sure everybody puts something on the pile. Maybe just to ingratiate themselves, show that everybody, maybe just to flatter them.
I mean, isn't that what we're kind of already doing with getting the Merchants Guild involved and the other
We can
places
also
that
just-
I've already forgotten?
personally turn out our pockets. I have a paltry, well, paltry to some, paltry to a dragon, maybe 600 gold that will do me no good if I'm dead. So, might as well put it towards continuing to live, possibly.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, I probably got like 10 gold. I don't know what the fuck you guys got all this.
I know, yeah.
I
I
mean-
have like so little.
I thought we had, like, did we all spend it? Like, I thought,
Oh, sorry. I've got 234 gold. Okay. Didn't know I had that much.
I still I have
oh, yeah, I
576.
do remember that.
8.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Stouter will plop down fucking, and how much gold? Yeah, I'll do like an even 600. Leave myself some pocket change.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you've
Although-
spent like no gold since you've been accruing it.
I don't spend a lot of money.
To further elaborate, though, if we get the entire populace to chip in, not just,
Well, yeah, it's not just the.
yeah, to show up and show respect, they could be convinced better.
I mean, this could also be a show of numbers.
Yeah.
This could be a show of. I mean, we've got now the majority of the populace, are behind this. This is a show of offering, muscle both. We outnumber and outpower them when it comes down to it. We just have to give them the evidence.
All right. In that case, I think evening comes. Two things. So, are you actually a few things? Is everyone actually pooling their gold for this?
I
will,
am.
absolutely.
All right. Could you throw how much you're putting in chat, just so I can like tally it? I'm super curious.
Okay. I think I'm actually gonna put something else instead of gold.
Oh. All right. Into it.
Oh,
We got fucking platinum, maybe?
platinum pieces.
600. Y'all,
Oh.
I have.
Right
Norgal over here, like, why haven't you bought me stuff?
And there's nothing left to buy.
I'm crying and broke right now. I'm wondering if I offer up.
Holding tightly to potions during the
Well,
final
you
boss.
also weren't here, Thorn, when I literally spent my entire, all of my gold on Filkiati. So there was a time when I had
Was a
no.
thing.
Yeah, you had literally no gold for like 4 or 5 sessions.
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be an okay offering to offer up my 100 gold piece for clairvoyance?
Yeah, no, I mean it's valuable.
It's the little
It's a
black
bauble.
eye.
Yeah. That
Do
would
I have
help.
something?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you want to.
gonna offer
yeah,
that up.
I am keeping my diamond. I used that, so I'm not giving that up.
Still have magic items that I haven't given out to people?
Oh,
Wait
that's
for it. Oh
right.
yeah. Okay. Let's make sure everyone gets their fucking magic eye because that's a big thing.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
Because I know we talked about it kind of like post session one time, but we didn't actually do it in session. Everyone needs to make sure that they
Mhm.
get the magic
Because
items.
I'm just holding on to all of it.
Oh yeah. What was the thing you wanted to give Norgal?
The pipes of haunting.
Yeah. What did that
well,
do?
I
then?
was thinking of. I thought we.
Or was it?
Well, I was thinking that you should have the medallion of thoughts because you're very good at like
You could also do that.
reading people. You've basically been the one this entire time who's kind of acted as our sort of social ambassador when it comes down to and kind of our subterfuge guy.
True.
So I thought
So
medallion of
basically, you
thoughts.
can just, yeah,
Yeah.
cast detect thoughts.
Okay.
This is your choice. That was just kind of my thoughts. So definitely choose what you want.
Yeah, I'll take the medallion.
Okay, so you're gonna take the medallion of thoughts if you want to add that to your inventory.
Cool. I think I already
I
put
thought
that
you-
in.
Okay, good.
I also have the rope of entanglement, which can be a restraining thing.
I don't remember what we said about that one.
I don't think we had anything for it.
I would give that to Staldar, so that he can use it for fights and fun.
But
Ew.
Jesus
All
Christ.
right.
Makes note.
See,
actually, the pipes of haunting might go best with sheeps.
You have to
I
be
was also-
proficient in a wind instrument to play it.
I have a
Oh.
flute,
Doesn't
but I'm
Jeeves
not
play
proficient
them?
in it. No.
Oh, you're not
I have a
proficient.
pan flute. That
I
I'm
also
proficient in.
I thought Cheap should have the universal solvent because Cheeps tends to do all of our locking and unlocking, and that's probably for that mostly. It's kind of our when it is too hard to open.
We
Probably.
give the child our one legendary.
Did I talk about like the idea I had? Is probably to even like consider it.
Oh.
But I was like, we should put it in the
Oh.
fucking knife.
Wait, if it's a legendary magic item, how much do you think it's worth?
I don't know.
It does so much.
I would say hold on to that.
Yeah, use that. Like actually
Instantly
use that.
dissolves up to 1 square foot of adhesive it touches, including sovereign glue.
The word adhesive there is I'm gonna say applied broadly.
Okay.
Like I don't know.
You just have a lot of really good acid.
I was about to say I'm gonna say like
Legendary.
mortar. That's an adhesive.
Yeah, I was also
Yeah.
thinking you can't name something universal solvent and then not have it actually be a universal solvent.
Yeah, I am positing universal solvent. It is still slightly
you can remove
more.
stickers real well.
Yeah, it is still minutely more applicable, but it is still very. You can do a lot with it if you want to. If basically if you come up with a creative use for it, I'm probably gonna say yes.
Yeah, I think we
Okay.
should hold on to that. Hey,
Are you-
big boy.
All right, I'll
I mean,
pass
if
that
we-
to the kid.
Are you sure? I mean, it could be part of our bribe.
I think we need it. I think
I
we're
think
Okay.
it'd be way more useful for us.
Okay.
What do the pipes of haunting do?
You can
let
play
me
them
pull
and
that.
people get frightened around you.
People get spooked.
Yeah, so you play it.
yeah, your effect.
Everyone in a 30-foot radius has to make a DC 15 Wisdom save, or they become frightened of you for a minute.
Interesting.
If you wish, all creatures in that area aren't hostile toward you automatically succeed the saving throw. So you get to pick who it affects.
Oh, okay.
As long as they're not hostile to you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm the only one who can use that item.
I think Amity might technically be proficient in a wind instrument because of the hermit background.
No, because I play Merlin.
Nice. All right, yeah. So I think you're the only one that can use it, Norgal.
Okay. Well, I'll yoink that, I guess.
Merry Christmas to you.
I guess so.
I recall at least a pair of you just got some good guns.
I have 2 guns.
Yes.
That's true.
I also have 2 guns.
How many of you grabbed guns?
I did not.
You did not?
I think it was just those two.
Okay.
Maybe it's just the 2 of us.
I was
Yeah.
wondering
I
if
both
just like
grabbed 2.
everyone grabbed a gun or not. That would
I
be
think it was
amusing.
just the 2 of us.
Coolio.
Amity wanted to not do that because he wanted to give Dahlia a gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Staller has no need of a gun.
Hold
Why
on, I
need
have
gun
an
when you
image
have
to share.
sword? All right.
So when you have Merlin, I mean magic.
All
I
right.
just grabbed 1. Never
Is
mind.
that
just 1?
are you all happy with your magic item distribution?
I am
Wait,
content.
so
Sure.
Who got the Medallion of Thoughts?
Norgal, I believe.
I mean, I don't need it if someone else wants it. I have the metal pipes of haunting. They're pretty cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I would like the Medallion of Thoughts.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, fucking Amity! We could have used the medallion on the fucking dragon.
Yeah.
Could have used. I'm kicking myself.
You still can.
Because we could have been using it on the dragon the whole time to know what the dragon's thinking. We're so stupid.
I
Oh my
blame
God.
Dahlia for this.
You know, I'm not even mad.
We could have
That's
been
fair.
using these things that we had. Ah,
Well,
Also, it wouldn't necessarily work.
there's still a chance it could fail, I think.
AC.
Yeah. But man,
And it's up against a dragon.
You never know, though. You never know. It might roll like shit.
But I also don't want to anger the dragon if it succeeds being like, hey, you tried reading my mind.
Fuck you.
I'm suddenly really hungry.
I'm gonna eat it.
It comes with the
Willing to
territory
take
of
that
Bard.
risk.
You know, fair.
You're a highly magical being. So kind of comes with the territory.
Enjoy your amulet.
Okay, Sarasra.
Excuse me, medallion.
Enjoy your necklace.
Tips hat, medallion.
Oh God, please.
Down.
About to fucking shunt myself out of this fucking place.
You block yourself from the chat.
Leaves
I'm
campaign.
about to leave the cat.
The fucking session
Oh my
before
God.
this.
All right.
Alright.
In that case, it is the evening. And it is time for you to decide. Well, not to decide, to make a couple of rolls at first. Firstly, a resources roll to see what kind of tribute you gather. I'm going to give you advantage on this, meaning you roll 3 dice, pick the top 2. Or roll 3 dice, take out the lowest.
Yeah.
Because of both your own personal commitments to it and other stuff. So I'm going to give you advantage on this and a +3 instead of the +2. Anyone who wants to. I'm going to say Almady just because this is kind of his thing.
And I'm rolling
3d6, take off the lowest.
3d6, take off the lowest, +3,
Correct.
and advantage.
Yeah,
that's-
the advantage is the 3, take off the lowest.
Well, that was a fucking D8, so hang on, because I apparently my D8 and my D6
Oh,
are right next to each other.
That's not how that works.
Oh, mood.
They're right next to
seen that before.
Sorry. Alright, here we go. That's much better. So that's a 1, a 6, and a 6.
Ooh, get rid of those.
So that is
Get rid of that one.
Nice.
so that is a 15 out of a possible 12.
Holy shit. Wisdom seems so
Nice.
fucking good. Like,
I think everyone is surprised by how much you get. So you remember the carts that you used to carry stuff out of the district? They bring those back and they uncover them. So they're just open wagons and they just get filled with shit. Like gold and ornate things and there are I think along with this a lot of citizens and especially merchants contribute. So you have these nice rugs and really ornate statuettes and just anything someone thinks is valuable. They've just tossed on this. And there's 3 full wagons of shit.
damn.
Everyone is surprised by how much you've managed to collect in such a short amount of time. And it is really, really, really actually impressive. The other thing I'm going to ask you to roll is just a straight up allies roll to see how much of a physical presence support you can get.
Is this the same roll?
Yes, but no advantage. So it's just 2d6 plus 1.
Okay. Not bad. 7.
7. All right.
Oh, sorry. Plus
Players
1
at
is
least.
8.
No,
Eight.
players.
Yeah, which is good. So yeah, partial success.
Hooray. People are probably just straight up afraid of the dark.
Yeah, no, I think that's really what happens is
They really do that.
as soldiers do. I think a lot of the Blood Club and Red Guard talk a big game, and then the time comes, it's the evening, time to go stand in front of a dragon and hope it doesn't eat us, and they're just I've got a thing in the I'm gonna go. You are surprised though. Every member of the Children of Flame is there.
Yeah.
They are not afraid.
Yeah.
The Children of Flame is Borox.
Correct.
All right, cool.
And a large amount of your, because the idea is you are going to rush the noble district after this. So the majority of the forces are there, but a lot more of them than you would wish are either in cover or hiding, waiting for like a signal. But you managed to muster a reasonable number of them to make a public showing.
Cheap. Once everything is piled up, mind if Cheeps adds one more thing to it?
Absolutely.
Cheeps will take out the reliquary of angel blood that he took from Borok's temple
Oh my god.
and add it to the pile.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even think to check like my items and stuff.
All right. Everything gets wheeled to the bridge. It's late evening, close to the golden hour. The sun is setting over the ocean, and you can see it reflected in the murky waters below the spires that line the side of the coast. And seeing the real actual horde that you have collected, Terran lifts himself up off of the top of the citadel and starts to go and makes a mighty jump and glides down and lands with a kind of echoing thump and beat of his wings that kind of blusters everyone back a little bit as he stands on the other side of the bridge and observes.
I think this is the first time you've ever heard Amity pray. Legitimately, I think he's just like, oh fuck, what's the fucking Spider Queen's name again? I forget.
Lolth?
Wolf?
Oh, Lolth, yeah. I think you just hear like that name happen under his breath a couple times. Like you're probably not sure what he's saying exactly, but God, he's going.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks expectantly down at you.
Looks expectantly at me. Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
You've been our ambassador so far. So
Yeah, I guess I'll kind of like step forward through through the carts closer to him, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like heading towards the other side, maybe stop just a little bit in front of it and be like, kind of gesture grandly with one arm back at the horde and be like, does this satisfy your needs?
does this please you?
The tiny bit of sass.
I'm gonna need you to roll a persuasion check.
It's not supposed to be.
boy.
Fucking D20. Here we go.
With advantage.
Quick. Do you? Oh, I was gonna say. do you want a
Absolutely
quick
with
guidance?
advantage.
Oh, goddamn. Fucking bless.
Guidance, my man.
Bardic inspiration?
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just rolled a 19,
Oh, you're fine. Never mind.
so I'm
Well,
hoping
maybe.
that's enough.
Just a flat 19.
I mean, it was 17 plus 2.
All right.
Here, you have bardic inspiration you can use. It's a D8 you can tack on.
Alright.
We want to make sure we clear that D.
For flavor text, just go ahead and add a D4. Why not? I'm
Piling it on.
feeling generous.
D8, so that's gonna be a 6 plus a 2, so that's a 19 plus 8, which is gonna be 20 something.
27.
27.
26,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Nice.
There is a huff of acrid green smoke from either side of his nostrils as the dragon bends down so that his head is equal with you, so he can look you directly in the eye. And he looks back at the horde and at the people you've assembled and back at you. And he chuckles in a deep, thunderous voice and just looks at you and just says, I'll be back to collect. And with a single mighty wing sweep, he launches himself off of the bridge and flies back onto the spires that line the bay and curls back up, content to simply watch.
Comedy fucking screams. He fucking casts his transforming spell. I don't remember what it is right now, but he fucking turns into a goddamn like maniac and just yells charge and runs. He's fucking-
Holy shit. Whoa.
I gotta
Perfect.
fucking find that spell. What is that called? Wrath of Nature. Fucking Wrath
What?
of...
I don't know what that does. I want to know what it does.
Wait, that might not be the right one. Hang on. That's the wrong one. Hang on.
It is still cool.
Oh, I don't even have it up right now.
I
I
mean,
didn't.
You had a week to prepare your spells.
I know, but like I didn't, and that's why I'm saying like I definitely would have this.
Yeah.
I just like haven't prepared my spells because I wasn't sure if we were gonna do any fighting. Yeah. So that's what I do. That's what's happening.
Absolutely.
I use thaumaturgy to make his voice 3 times as loud.
Hell
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
Hell yeah.
It is chaos. As the children of flame and the rest of your party follow your lead behind you, rushing forward at these utterly bewildered noble guards.
Shit.
They I think the first like layer of the noble guard just give up. Like the first, like the ones who watch this dragon talk to you directly and then leave. Just like I think they just jump into the river is what happens.
Get the fuck out of the way.
Like they are toast. And they know it. So they just they get out of there, and the rest are more thoroughly fanaticized. And they start to put up a fight as steel comes to shield and hammer comes to armor. And in minutes the sound of war is ablaze across the noble district. You manage to group together among the chaos and dash towards your goal deeper down the streets toward the most impressive building in the skyline, and rush up the impressive marble stairs of the citadel into the entryway and burst through the doorways to reach your goal. And I think that's where we should call it tonight. But
Oh man.
if you would like
Oh,
a small preview of what's going to happen, you may
no.
log into Roll20 and see
No.
just the entryway.
I know what's up.
Oh, my password. No.
Dahlia cannot see.
I just gave up my clairvoyance spell thing, so that's only fitting.
I need to zoom out.
Wait, I got it.
Zoom
I got
out
it.
a lot. Okay. This
Come on.
does happen to see there's an entrance. There are some stairs. And more stairs.
Roll 20, please don't fucking crash my
Oh.
shit. Crash my
Oh
shit.
my.
It's a big map though.
Oh my.
A lot of it's
Don't crash.
black. Oh, somebody's moving forward in it and revealing it.
Don't crash.
What's happening?
That's your
Please,
Sashi.
Yeah.
You're Sashi. What are you doing, bud? Stop fucking spoiling our game, dude.
It loaded in.
You're Sashi. God.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Oh man.
I didn't know that our characters can't have like an aura of. Is that a new thing?
Yeah.
So I paid Roll20 $5. So for this map, we're going to be using dynamic lighting.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty random.
If you want to move to that first chamber so you can get a better look at
Yeah.
what it looks like.
Ah,
Yeah,
Far.
it's cool as shit.
oh my
Nice.
god, that is ridiculous.
And I can mess with it a little bit. So the curtains,
Cool.
I can. Boop.
Ah. Super happy.
This is
And
And
sweet.
it's not lagging my stuff, so awesome.
Rad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I was
right.
kind
I
of
was
worried
worried about
about it, but
So that is where we will begin. Next time.
Could I? Because things kind of started happening really fast, and I don't know if this is something I can even do at this point. I did want to cast what's it called? What's it called? Part of ceremony. It's the coming of age on Chiefs.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
you want me
So
to?
No, I mean I had it prepared. It was I kind of intended to.
Oh, you're a paladin, yeah. You know, never
Yeah.
mind.
I can also do things.
Boo.
Staller can also technically cast spells.
What?
Um,
Cast what?
Spells?
Oh,
Like do magic.
sometimes I do
you
magic,
cut out.
sure.
you cut out as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm excited.
Sometimes I cast a spell. Sometimes.
I hope this is cool. I will say, try to avoid clipping through the walls when you move as much as possible, because you may accidentally reveal parts of the map. You shouldn't, in most cases, but
Try to avoid.
try to avoid. Yeah. Also, Staldar, you can move the. You should be able to move the Yurasashi token, if you
Oh,
want.
I should be able to move Versace. Yes.
Yeah.
I can. Okay, cool.
You can also move. One thing that's kind of neat is you can move tokens with the arrow keys too.
Oh,
You have to hit enter after you move. Sometimes it's kind of weird.
oh yeah, because I can see it's none. Or couch. I don't know. Whatever.
You just have to wait for a sec for it to like update on everyone else's map.
Okay, I see. Cool. Yeah. So I'll say, kind of just to give it some flavor, kind of while all that's going down, kind of in that anticipation phase, Daldar is also quietly praying to Safakut and Defecate. And he just kind of like, maybe not even like quite understanding what he's doing, he like reaches over and touches Chief's shoulder. And now you get, what do you get?
Plus 1d4 on any ability check
Yes.
Yeah.
for the next 24 hours. Yes.
24 hours.
That's probably gonna be enough for the rest of the campaign, though, y'all. So
That's
remember
next.
I mean,
next.
the afterlife might. I don't know how that interacts.
Jeez.
that. Ooh.
I was gonna say, did
See,
anyone
see.
bring any revival things other than me?
I think you're the only one that can
Well,
cast.
Yeah, I
have
don't have any access. to it.
Loud silence.
Yeah, I
I will
can't.
have heal, which is a 70 HP instant.
Okay.
I
But
can
that's
do a
gonna
little
also
bit
be,
of
like,
healing,
my
but not
only
much.
level 6 spell.
I might not have been smart if I got the I can just get revived without any. But you know, oh well.
It's okay. We'll be
Work.
alright. Unless we're not alright. In which case,
Yeah,
we won't
we'll
be
figure
alright.
it out. One thing, just to kind of make sure, did we get those healing trinkets fixed? Are
They didn't finish them in time, unfortunately.
Does anyone
it-
want one? Because I still have my original one with all its uses.
Oh shit. You
Like,
have
not even
used it.
joking. Once, and that was at the very beginning when we were able to get refills. I still have both uses. Is shit, so it wouldn't really do a lot for me anyways.
I guess. Do do I get the weird version of it back then? Is that or the version that gives you temporary hit points and then might fucking kill you if you're not careful?
Sounds safe.
I personally don't remember that. All I remember is it would heal you.
It's Clarice, because mine was empty when I gave it to her.
Oh yeah, you get that back. Like you get your
Okay.
your normal one, but they couldn't finish the like serum correctly in time.
Cool. I'll just keep the weird one then. Who knows? It could save me.
Serums. I'll give you mine.
Well, I don't want to take it for town. You need a good one because mine is weird and bad. And I'll just keep this one because see, it's a high risk, high reward sort of thing where it's like if we're in a fucking scrape, it could save us a lot of trouble. And I want you to also have a way to heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep your, and I can. I'm beefy enough that I can probably take whatever this thing does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cole, thank you for giving me something very cool to do a couple times.
Yes.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
That was a lot of fun.
Good.
I'm going to attempt to pass out.
Yeah, I just realized I need to catch a train in the morning, so I gotta book pretty soon.
But I will see you. We don't have a plan for the next session.
Unfortunately, no. Hopefully, it'll be
Oh,
like
sorry.
middling of next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly we're gonna move through this dungeon, and I don't want to rush it.
Fair.
But I will.
Oh,
I'm
same.
gonna say probably, assuming like our typical like 4-ish hour session. I want to say 1.5 to 2, but again, I don't know. I don't know exactly.
We'll see.
So we'll see. I'm excited. I did.
Excited.
I'm already very happy with how this like looks, with the dynamic lighting.
It's very neat.
Very good.
Mm.
All right. Well, thank you for today. I will see you all.
Yay! Yes, I'll try and get a when is good like before I leave tomorrow, and then people can answer it as they are able.
I finally got my schedule up for next week, so I can definitely do that sooner this
Awesome.
time than
Hell yeah!
normal.
Hell yeah! Yeah, and then it's the semester.
God,
Haha.
don't remind me.
Graduated life. Yeah.
Entering year
Oh,
number 5.
Also, if you have stuff on your Google Drive account, make sure to migrate it, because apparently those accounts are getting just fucking deleted on the 31st.
Yeah.
What?
They are.
The loop email stuff is getting just paved.
Because now we have the Outlook, the Office 365. They're completely like ripperoning our.
Nuking it.
And they sent
Right.
active students an email about that once in January and never followed up.
And active
Don't
students,
remember
not
this.
including,
And
you know,
yeah, and only active students.
all the people you know that.
Shout out to my one thing I opened up that just titled "To Be Ass." That's the first thing.
Oh, I should probably stop recording.
Ass shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that sounds about right.